Welcome to the Cups of Consciousness show. I am Aleya, your host. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine, a sound healer, the author and founder of the 7 Cups of Consciousness. I have produced 9 sound healing albums and have recorded over 2,000 meditations online. I am an energy practitioner and help people shift their consciousness using their energetic fields. And this show is all about using your energetic fields to shift your consciousness, as well as exploring energetic concepts that help you create a more empowered and connected life. This episode is an energetic session that explores concepts, energetic practices, and protocols that are similar to a prayer, which help you transform particular aspects of your life. When you listen, recognize that some part of you is using your energetic fields to shift your vibration, which in turn shifts your consciousness, your behaviors, your beliefs, how you react and respond. You might even go into an altered state, so use caution if you're driving or doing something that requires a focused mind. With all of this work that I present, remember that it is your energy shifting you in your own unique way. That way you stay in control and empower with your process. So take a deep breath in, pull yourself into your line of light, and explore your inner terrain in a safe and supported space. Let's dive in.
The 7 Cups of Consciousness podcast with me, Aleya, and the 7 Cups of Consciousness practitioners. It is an honor to be with all of you today and to also be with you, our listeners. We are going to be focusing on holiday stressors and the things that come up and energetic solutions that we have used for our own selves to navigate through the holidays so it's a little easier, a little more graceful, a little less stressful. And on that, is there anybody that wants to share a particular stressor that has come up for you that you've noticed other people have the stressors, and dive right in?
Well, I'll
I can. Oh, Michelle, I was saying I could set the scene for you, Michelle, of like what I almost imagine this is it can be that we are feeling that wave of the holidays because there's Thanksgiving and then whatever you celebrate, Christmas, Hanukkah, something else. But it feels like it's kind of like you can energetically feel the wave coming. And so it feels that in this session, it's like figuring out what's your little like zoom under the wave so that it is graceful and fun and you have your little like nice dolphin swim instead of getting kind of pummeled by the waves that come. So I think that that's a fun image because then that's different for all of you, but everyone has their little like zoom, and then it's January and actually you rode the wave with more ease and more joy and whatever you desire. So with that, Michelle.
Well, yeah, I think with that wave of the holidays, we can come into many kinds of stressors, right? We can be in, oh my goodness, I'm going to be around people that I love, or I'm going to be around people that are going to bring up my triggers. I'm going to be a little bit, apprehensive about gathering with the people that I might be gathering. People might be traveling, so there could be just a lot of stress that can come up, right? And so whenever I work with my clients around the any kind of gathering, and especially a holiday gathering, it's to prep the energy so that when you go into it, no matter, again, if they're your loved ones that you're excited to see or that you're going to be triggered to see, that you set it up so that whatever might occur within that process goes more easily and effortlessly. And what I mean by setting it up is to actually set intentions to gather in a higher realm, to set up the time frame that you're going to be with them. I also invite people often to do that with any travel too, because especially there's a lot of things going on in the world with travel being a little wonky, usually always is in the holidays, and it might be even more so now, so that you kind of set up almost what I see as a golden road or a golden aspect and process um, and space so that it is easily traveled. And you don't necessarily have to be a golden road, but that it is a space that you've set intentions, where you've thought about what kind of vibrations you want to be holding within yourself and actually working through any conversations in the higher realms prior so that you can easily have the experience in a gentle and joyful as possible way. So that's what I always invite my clients to do in the process and myself to do when I'm in that process.
I love that, Michelle. And setting up the grids prior to an experience, a gathering, is huge. And it's funny, the other night, I was heading over to a friend's house, and there were going to be like 3 or 4 of us. And literally a minute before I got to the property, I was like, oh, I forgot to set up the grids. And so I did this quick thing where, as you said, Michelle, witnessed everybody in that higher realm, invited everybody to sit, to send information. And then I got this little sense of like, what if we took 30 years to prep over the next 38 seconds? This one little gathering. And then there was like this sweetness and this ease and this flow, because for 30 years, some energetic aspect of us has prepped our time of connection.
Oh,
That's
fun.
so cool.
Yeah. So you can set a time frame too of, okay, we're going to prep this for 2 weeks, or the party's tomorrow night and we're going to prep it for 3 hours in the higher realms, obviously to the degree that everybody chooses. So great. Prepping the holidays, number 1, prepping the gathering. Does anybody else want to share thoughts, questions, reflections?
I actually had fun today pondering this because I just sort of was flooded with all the amazing, wonderful tools that we have. And so tuning in to what works best for us at a particular time. And, you know, I always come back to needing to come back to myself. How do I come back to my center, to my divine line, body coming back to her divine line? What are the things that work best for me to do that? And grounding, of course, you know, and I think that part of that was in the Tall Cup, or one of the daily meditations about supporting body to find her own unique way to ground, and how important that is. And I also sort of what came in related to empathic protocol, you know, before going into a group, into a family situation. So many different feelings can come up with different people, different family members. And so having that, you know, practicing that protocol of retrieving our attachments and returning responsibility, anything and everything that we've taken on, right, that doesn't belong to us, and being able to go in with that sense of alignment to our divine line, and knowing that we're not in that attached place, and choosing, you know, choosing the frequency that I want to amplify, that I want to walk in with, and staying aligned to that. And, you know, like, just keep coming back to that, not taking things personally, not getting involved in various different dynamics that can happen in the external world, and just knowing, you know what, I want to hold peace, and that's it. And, or love, or whatever it is, you know, that we want to hold. And one last thing that came in too, that was really important for me, is keeping in check my wanting. So I could be wanting somebody to be different than they are. I could be wanting somebody to be a certain way so I could feel a certain way. So there's like a lot of different aspects to the wanting piece, I think. And so being able to be clean with that and aware, checking that for myself before being with people, being around a lot of people, and doing the work necessary to retrieve that responsibility and give back what needs to be given back. So those are some of the thoughts that came today for me.
Beautiful, Lori. You speak to how we hold our creative energy,
Mm.
and we're all creative. And you're talking about, do we want to use our creative energy and keep it high, keep it light, keep it clean, keep it aligned with that intention that you anchor in? Or do we want to use our creative energy to have the judgment, the critic, the external attachment, the projections of our values externally? And I'm so mindful about choice. A lot of the times we just navigate energetically, unconsciously, and we go by default and we get negatively empathically impacted and we do what everybody else is doing around us. But if in this holiday season, you say to yourself, I'm going to use my creative energy in a really clean, light, dynamic way, and then we can hold people in the highest light. So anybody you have a challenge with, you could think about that person and go, how could I see them in the highest light? Maybe surrounded by their guides, their ascended masters, or them in their creative current. And then you're doing exactly what you're talking about, Lori, is using your creative energy in a really dynamic way.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good.
Yeah. Any other reflections, questions that this spawns from anybody listening? And we did get intentions earlier. We'll speak to that in just a moment. Nina, did you have a piece that you wanted to share around the holidays?
So like I was speaking about earlier before we went live, I was talking about, or I guess recorded, we were live. And so if anybody's joined in and didn't hear this part, but we were talking about, for the holidays coming into it, it feels like a rush, making sure you do like all your maybe traditional things that you would do with your family, and to take time and be present, and not just be present in the moment, but present with yourself, connected with yourself, and present with the loved ones that are around you, and not feeling like that rush, like I have to do everything, the prioritizing, the perfection of everything, just like what feels comfortable. How do I really want to enjoy these holidays? Kind of like prepping the grids. Yes, like that's wonderful. I was, like us, Lori and Michelle were talking about, but also like just being present in the moment. That's very helpful too. And then you won't get as triggered. Like you still may get triggered, but at least you can slow it down a little bit. And like, well, maybe why am I triggered? And you could start pondering.
Good. Really good. Thank you, Nina.
You're welcome.
Winslow?
This time of year, I often think about spirit family, and it can be a time of year when you feel lonely, you feel sad, you might be connecting with people around you, but you feel like it's not enough, there's like someone you're missing. And it also, I'm seeing a comment, it could be someone that has passed, who's on the other side, that you really did love and connect with. And so one practice to bring in is to imagine for you, soul rider, that you do have a spirit family, an angel family, and every day to imagine and invite yourself to connect with your spirit family. And maybe you're laughing. It's like you can create something amazing with them up there that is fun, that's light or supportive. And then also, I like doing this with my body, is imagining, is there an element or is there a magical being or an animal that you really love? And then reminding your body, like I love the fairies. And so I invite my body to imagine being with her fairy family, and they're laughing and it's light and fun. And so that can help create a distance and kind of a joy or a sense of connection and play in another dimension. which takes the pressure off of everyone around you in the physical dimension. And then two, I think it helps recognizing that then your family, your biological family, your people on earth here, they also have spirit families, and they might not know that. And so some part of them may be yearning and missing that too, without even knowing that that is something they can connect with. And that creates a little bit more compassion at this time of year. So having fun and hugs with your spirit family or magical family.
I love that. And Winslow, if I were to tie in what you were talking about, Michelle, setting up the grids, what would it be like if all of the gatherings that we're going to be in over the next few weeks, the next 2 months, what would it feel like if we called in everyone's spiritual family that's going to be there to the degree that they choose? And you could even call them from the future as ascended masters to come and hold vigil for themselves in this gathering. A lot of the times when we have people that we really, really love and we cherish, whether we're conscious of it or not, and they're in our presence, we become our best self. And so you might get really surprised that Uncle Bob is not as annoying because he has a spiritual family around him because you call them in.
Yeah, that's the best.
So great.
Yeah.
Very cool. Not so much on that thread, but earlier today I was thinking about the holidays and gatherings and what is like one of the core kind of wounds or challenges and why we get so triggered is to explore the possibility that we're looking for validation externally. We're thinking that if people come to our home or we go to their home and we've put all this effort into getting there on time, cooking the favorite dish, dressing nicely, that we're then going to be validated. And at a biological level, our body is so hardwired for validation. And we looked for validation in order to survive in the tribe, in the circle, in the clan. And so if we know that our body is hardwired for looking for that validation externally, we can start working with our body and say, body, what would it feel like to validate yourself this holiday season and not look for the validation externally? Does anybody have any thoughts on need for validation and what happens when we don't get it? Lori?
Yeah. That feels very important. It's sort of what I was touching on a little bit with the wanting. You know, when we make someone else responsible for when I make someone else responsible for my feeling a certain way that I want to feel. So when I want to feel validated, I want to feel loved, I want to feel valued, I want to feel, you know, and so it's important for me to get in touch with those things.
Yeah.
And so that then I can work to amplify those qualities to give myself, like you said, body, what would it be like, you know, and to do that.
That key piece that you just started talking about of like, you did self-reflection. Mm-hmm. You asked yourself the question, what am I wanting from that person? Mm-hmm. And I'm just curious, do a lot of people do that self-reflection? Do they know that question to ask that helps them unearth those potential triggers? Right. Or do we just go into the situation, we just get triggered and we don't even know why we got triggered because we didn't take time of like, okay, I'm going to be seeing that person. Do I typically have triggers with that person? Does my body clench? What's the need? Or what are you wanting, as you were saying, Lori?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's true. We rarely we're not taught to take time to reflect and to dig deeper.
Yeah, prior.
Right.
Yeah.
To have the right question.
Yeah.
Because it was so validating to hear like, okay, what is the question? what am I really wanting? And then that can be really validating to self. Like, oh, I'm really wanting to feel appreciated. Ah, okay. So I'm really, really desiring to appreciate myself, to
Yeah.
appreciate my light and my gifts, or I
And
really feel supported.
and Michelle, on that thread, so you just said, what am I really wanting? Oh, appreciation. And then what would it feel like if you layered in the question, why do I want appreciation from them?
Mhm. Right. Yeah, because that why is really getting deep into the core of our own need.
Mhm.
And
then what happens?
and then when we figure out what we really need, then we activate that vibration within ourselves and we then experience that vibration, that core need for ourselves rather than desiring it from the outer world or looking for it from the outer world.
And then the trigger goes away.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I love the question of how would it feel? How would it feel if I were appreciated? How would it feel if I were valued? And because that's it, right? Like keep continuing to ask the question until we get to the core.
Right.
Right.
And
And then
then
it's like, and
Michelle
then
said,
it's like, oh, I'd feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
I'd feel peaceful. I'd feel free, like getting to that
Yeah.
core
And then
quality.
it's not about the person.
Right.
Right.
And the trigger goes away.
Mm-hmm. And then maybe even to discernment, so that the moment you get that inside yourself, that vibration of like what Lori was saying, if I had that, how would I then feel? That creates a buffer and it creates a distance between you and this other person. And when you have that distance, now you have greater discernment, non-reactivity, safety, and compassion of like, I was going to them for calm, for peace, for safety, for support. Oh no, they don't have it at all. And not judging or shaming, just discernment. And then we can go, what do they have that's beautiful? What do they have that's light? And on that thread, again, I'm like preparing to have people come to our property this weekend, actually. And I was having these thoughts about these people that are coming. And I was like, is it possible that these thoughts that I'm having, I'm empathically feeling their thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
So I started to have judgment about this person. I'm like, why am I judging this person? I think they're lovely. Oh, they're judging themselves and they're afraid of being judged by me. They're projecting their internal judgment of self externally. And so then we get into what Winslow was talking about, those high levels of empathic sensitivity when we're navigating with all these people and we're hearing their thoughts, thinking that we think that about them.
Which is so intense and messy.
When
we don't then reflect, take the moment to shift, find the need, and clear the empathic.
One of the guides just said, create the distance before you get in the soup.
Yep.
By prepping, as Michelle was talking about, and then discerning what your needs are, meeting those inside, and then discerning maybe what those other people's needs are.
Right.
What's their inner world. And again, there's no right or wrong. It's like, oh, I was really reflecting upon your inner world for like 3 hours before you showed up. Now, we wouldn't say this out loud because that's going to make them feel very self-conscious, but that's love. That's a lot of love that you just took to be like, okay, what are their needs? What are their challenges? Why do they act that way? What's going on in their inner world? Compassion.
It's the witness.
Yeah.
When someone's witnessed, then they open up to who they really are.
Potentially, in some dimension, they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then sometime continuum, they eventually actualize it. Yeah. Any other core challenges that come up when you think about holidays or just like on this stream, Winslow?
I was just thinking the other way that helps me, because sometimes when you're really triggered and you haven't taken as much time as you wanted to prep, I also feel that reminding yourself to hold your energy in the appropriate vibration that's appropriate for you. So imagining, like, as you know, you've heard Aleya say, there's like the mountain of evolution. And so where is the appropriate terrain for you? And maybe yours is a beautiful meadow with a beautiful view, and you can take time before the holidays now to use your imagination, your energetic fields, and think about what's your terrain, and with a magic wand, and then kind of just gauge that. Like maybe you are a hawk and you have this beautiful bird's eye view, and other people are in the forest and they're in the mud and there's mosquitoes and it's dark. And so in the holidays, can you keep your terrain as the hawk, where you do have the bird's eye view, or you're on a cloud or whatever it is, so that that can just create distance energetically in a different way.
Beautiful. I love it. And then I just saw rest too, that in some higher realm, could we witness ourselves feeling really rested, being in a restful place during the entire holiday season?
Yeah, that seems key.
Yeah.
Because it is the time for rest this time of year, but we tend to go, go, go. And so what part of us could be in that more natural way of being that we're really, the nature kingdom is inviting the body, David, to be in. But if we're just go, go, going, then we'll get really burnt out. So by having some energetic aspect in another dimension, just resting 24/7, soul rider, body deva teams, then we can really be in that place more often, even, reflecting it into this dimension.
And Michelle, your mastery is the Ayurveda and energetic protocols, energetic fields. And I also have training in Chinese medicine. And in the wintertime, it's the kidneys, the water element, the adrenals. Is that true as well in Ayurveda?
We look at it a little bit differently. We call it the Vata season. So Vata is the element of space and air, and there's a lot of movement with air, right? And so there's this desire to go, go, go. But we also say that likes like and increases itself, and then opposites balance. So we're being in a season where the energy is kind of to go. And I think that's where people have just gone into the energy, rather than recognizing it's about the balance of it all. And the balance is coming too with the darker nights, at least in the northern hemisphere, right? So the less light, the more dark, it's inviting the rest, even though the energy is kind of supporting that movement.
Listening to the body. And creating a space for, I think, that balanced movement.
Right. Which is the opposite.
Right. Of what we do.
Yeah.
But it's such a profound reset too when Mercury is retrograde. It's like we're literally having an opportunity right now for the next 3 weeks to reset our rhythm and our timing for this next season as we go into the winter. So a slower, more grounded state, and explore the possibility that if you start to go too fast out of timing with nature, things will break. You'll have frustration. You'll spill things. You'll bump into things because you're going way faster than the vibrational current of your environment. Really cool. Vata.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or reflections on that, or should we dive into questions?
I have one more thought about the holidays.
Yeah.
And, it's like, for me too, because I love the nature spirits, is like my land, I invite all of them to amp up and do their own upgrade. Like bring all your resources, all your mastery, your wisdom up into the dimension you're now expressing yourself from. And when they do that, it's like an upgrade. And I'm doing it for myself too. And it's like we're all doing it. And then if I'm going somewhere to a holiday that might be at someone else's house, I'm inviting my nature spirit, Aurora, to connect with their nature spirit. Like, hey, send them information. Maybe all of our nature spirits and our teams can gather too and make this like really joyful and more fun, whatever vibration they are wanting for themselves too, because maybe it might be different for them. Maybe they just want peace and quiet. So it's whatever. And that makes it more lovely too.
That's fabulous. I totally didn't ever think about inviting the nature spirits to bring all of their resources up, because if you're a conscious energetic being, then you're going to be positively empathically impacting all the nature spirits that are around you. But we don't always bring all of our resources and our grids up into that higher dimension where we're expressing ourselves now.
Yeah, I do it a lot with mine.
That's so great. So good. I love it. Shall we shift gears? There were a couple questions about like etheric ears, and I'm just going to read there was a question about etheric ears, and there was also another question about somebody who was in a drum circle and they didn't feel good afterwards. But the first one that I'd love to start with is on the last practitioner podcast, Nina spoke about reflections across time spiral. Is there a way to smooth or harmonize that sense of backwards and forwards in time beyond returning responsibility and sending info? Today I heard bifurcation of my own timeline, meaning I'm in another dimension doing service work, very aware of mission and co-participants, and here working with particular aspects of the physical realm. So Nina, do you have a thought on the smoothing and harmonizing when we go back and forth through the time continuum?
Yes, I do. So there's a couple options. You can invite the Mylan Time Lords to take you back and forth and activate the spiritual lesson and ripple and reflect it backwards and forward. And that takes care of all the timelines, all the lifetimes that you've ever felt this twinge, this pain point that you're feeling that's still in your field, and you're feeling it, and maybe it's reeling from the past. So yes, so inviting it's Mylan Time Lords to go back and forth. And I work with high dimensional fairies, and I invite them to take me on a magic carpet ride and go back and forth. And for me, it's like that's more fun. But the Mylan Time Lords, they work together. It's just different. So you can try one of those two options and see how that works.
Very cool. That's so great. Anyone else have any suggestions of smoothing it out? I just had a thought, and I don't know if I've spoken about it before, but you could have your future self send appropriate energetic information to your present self. You could have your past self send appropriate energetic information. So you're actually staying in the present moment, allowing for a relay into the future, past, and a relay from the past and the future to present breath of now. That might smoothen. Very cool.
Yeah, I like that.
It is interesting, like we've talked about time a lot tonight. And is this time of year, is time always a thing at this time of year?
Mercury retrograde. Also, in our world, we changed our time, our clocks. I don't really love that, but it happens. And so there is a part of us that are adjusting to a different rhythm of time. Mm-hmm. And I also wonder if when Mercury is retrograde, and we just experienced this intense thinning of the veils for the last 3 months, August, September, October, we're integrating a different time pulse, because as the veils thin, that's going to naturally impact how we feel the time pulse. When you go into a meditative state, you experience time very differently than if you're on a call doing a task. And so feel into the idea that we're using this Mercury retrograde to recalibrate how we pulse ourselves in this time continuum.
Cool.
Yeah. There was another question about etheric ears. I would like to hear which experience you have with your etheric ears. How do you use it? How do you know if it's information from etheric ears? How to exercise it to make it a good muscle, and have more awareness of our etheric ears. And when I read that question, I had just a hit that I'll share, and then I'd love to have other people share your insights on the etheric ears. And it's a very simple practice of when you feel a little pressure change in your ears or a high pitch ring, you pause and you say to yourself, I'm getting a download. My people are talking to me. Balcony crews chatting. I'm just listening. Now, it's not always convenient to stop whatever conversation you're in, but you could just be like, we have this physical dimensional conversation. I'm going to put a little bit more awareness on this other dimensional conversation. And if you're in a safe environment with people who understand you, you might say, high pitch ring in ears, angels talking, pause. I'll get back to you in a minute. And so that would be one way that you could approach it. Also, too, like with my husband and with my dear friends, when we're hanging out and I hear a high pitch ring, I immediately say to them, do you hear that ringing in your right ear or your left ear? And 98% of the time they're like, I do. And I'm like, angels talking. And we all stop and we just listen. And then it stops. And then we continue our conversation. So that's my thought on the etheric ears, of just a very gentle practice to start acknowledging that you are getting energetic information far beyond the mind. Anyone want to share?
I just had, when I read that question too, I also just imagined bringing more awareness to and having fun with, what are your etheric ears? Do you want to imagine angel ears, elf ears, mermaid ears, something else, dolphin ears, and then just kind of witnessing your magical ears in another dimension? And let us know what happens. But it's like you're witnessing them and then becoming more aware of them, and then they awaken to themselves that in that etheric realm. And
it's like you're bringing your etheric ears online when you bring it into that visual context.
Yeah,
you witness it there, and that awakens your energetic ears in that other dimension.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
really cool.
And also on that note is to you can calibrate your energetic ears for the harmonic dimension. Like if you're having bad dreams or you're listening to lower vibe dimension, you can like calibrate my ears for appropriate dimension I'm now expressing myself in, or harmonic, however, whatever wording you want to use there.
That's good.
And you can also clean your etheric ears too. So clean the crystalline structures in and around, and that might open up the ability to hear more in those etheric realms, the information that's being shared in those higher different dimensions.
That's really good.
And one more thing about the etheric ears I thought about is inviting your dial, your energetic dial. Like, okay, for me, soul rider, my energetic dial is going to be like on an 8 or 9 from the planet I'm from. I'm just not going to like 0.1 maybe for mass consciousness. I don't need to listen to other people to feel safe. I'm already safe inside. I'm an energetic being. And then body deva, what do you want to listen to? Maybe Middle Earth or the nature spirits or the planet that you're from, if it's not Earth or if it's a mixture. So you can play with that too.
Cool. I love that, Nina.
Yeah. Thank you.
Lori, any thoughts?
I was thinking a little bit about related to what Michelle said, actually, and cleaning etheric ears. And I know that you have meditations that are available, I think, probably for that, which could be helpful. So,
yeah, good. And tomorrow's Daily Cup is healing the ears of your heart.
Oh,
so it's like we listen also with our heart. And so, as Michelle was saying, cleaning that, and when it's clean, then we receive the information in a coherent way. When it's dirty, it gets clogged, and then the message gets jammed. So energetic Q-tip. So good. There was one other question about somebody who attended a drum circle, and there was a ton of like prayers and conversations about loved ones and what people wanted for those loved ones. And I'm just going to briefly read it. This person said they attended an indoor sitting drum circle with about 15 people. And the person that was leading it wanted to have everybody pray for, and then would follow everybody that you wanted to pray for. You shared who that was, and then you would follow along in his chant and his song while beating the drum of the same rhythm. He talked about ancestry and about other people's backgrounds. Some people wanted to pray for loved ones that had passed on or those who are about to. And then this person said that they started to feel drained by this activity and not cared to sing anymore, but did so anyway. When it was complete, they felt an intense pressure in their third eye and uncomfortable, and it wouldn't go away for a few days. The eyes were watering, and the person invited their higher self to send appropriate energetic information to anyone, but the pain didn't subside for another 2 days. So any thoughts on that?
I have not so much thoughts about the why, but the thoughts about how to be with that situation. And, it's like where we put our awareness and our attention is where our energy goes. So if there's something going on in that third eye area, maybe engaging in energy center balancing, going through a process, a meditation to really be present with harmonizing our energy fields, your energy centers, and maybe even spending a little bit of time kind of grounding. So maybe feet to kind of bring that energy down and connect to the earth. And so, like when we talk about, when you say bringing all of our energy and awareness into our divine line, that's where our energy goes, right? So if there's too much there, just doing some balancing like that is kind of what I was thinking about.
Excellent, Lori. And that just brought up a thought of like, whatever happens after an experience, explore the idea that we've asked everybody to be a certain way to trigger something in us to clear a block. It's not so much about what happened there and what the people were talking about or how they were doing it. It's more, well, I want to clear my third eye so I see clearly. Mm-hmm. That's great, Lori. That little segue that it revealed. Anyone else have thoughts on that question?
Well, when I looked at what kind of occurred, it feels like a lot of, all those people were invited to come close.
Mm-hmm.
And so then you're feeling all of that energy, and maybe they're in a discordant way and vibration, and they were really looking for information and to be have their responsibility returned to them, and in a way, because it was kind of an honoring process, right? But not a lot of knowledge, I think, around what actually to do to support them. Like they were called in, but then what happens when they're there? So I think the sending of the information was appropriate, but also returning the responsibility and any want and retrieving any wants off of them that if you wanted them to be in a better way, where you're feeling how everybody there, you were impacted by them wanting for their ancestor to be a certain way. And so it was like a multi-layered empathic experience and impact. And so in that situation, you just, continue. What I would invite is continue to do that empathic process over and over and over again, and kind of raise your vibration around what it is that you were there to receive and understand, and the lesson that you were to get.
Beautiful. So Michelle, as you're talking, I saw another thread in your field. So I'm just going to speak out your own genius. when we attain a certain level of knowledge, wisdom, mastery, beings in other dimensions on the other side can feel that. And so, is it possible that when you were in this circle and 15 people were calling on their ancestors or people on the other side or people that they loved, those people energetically saw you and they're like, hey, could you help me? And just like Michelle was talking, you were empathically feeling them, but also all of their ancestors, because everybody was coming to you because you were the Home Depot with all of your tags of like, I've got tons of data, and everybody's lining up wanting information for you. So Michelle, exactly, continue sending information.
And I also, on that note, I was also thinking like setting up debriefs for all these ancestors.
I know. Yeah.
Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like all these debriefs, you're probably feeling them like in this in between space. And like, what do I do? Where do I go? And so it's like, call on their spiritual family. Hey, set up their debrief for them to the degree that they choose. Activate the spiritual lessons, just like everybody that's here. Yeah.
So good.
All that.
Brilliant. Really good.
Nina, that's actually such a good thing, for that comment of like thinking of people that have passed during the holidays.
Yeah.
That's so perfect, because it is a time where you do think about grandparents and people that have passed that you miss, or not, but both ways you can set up the debrief and make that request be of service.
Yes. And you can call on their spiritual family and say, hey, spiritual family, set up their debrief. You don't even need to know how. You can just make that request.
Right. Because it could be like you also might get empathically impacted by the great grandmother.
Yeah.
And not even realize it. Mm-hmm. Very cool. Anybody else want to share any insights before we do one final thing before completion?
I wanted to say briefly, Winslow bringing up the question about that. I lost my mom a year ago. And so I can feel even more that question. And I just kind of want to just say, I feel like how important it is to be tender with our hearts and be present, and also to open as much as feels comfortable for people to that relationship, that new relationship with that person not in the physical anymore, and how beautiful that can be as it continues to grow. So,
Lori, that's beautiful. That you literally have to shift how you are in relationship because the relationship's different now.
Right.
But still continues.
Yes. And can be beautiful, when we're not too attached. If we have to grieve, right?
Yeah.
But not too attached to how it was and how we wish it were, or, those kinds of feelings, and opening to the new relationship.
That's beautiful. Very good. On that note, we're going to do the next podcast. I want to say it's going to be five or 6 weeks out. I think 5 weeks this time. Over the next 4 to 5 weeks, 6 weeks, what do you sense is energetically coming? And how could we hold ourselves in a way that feels supportive? I'm going to go last.
What I'm really sensing is energetically an invitation to slow down and to go more inward. And again, with the holidays approaching, that might be a little counterintuitive, but recognizing too, this is the time of year to be slowing down, ideally. And so, how can you set up some space if you are going to be very busy? How can you set some time aside to really deeply rest in the in between?
Really beautiful.
I was thinking, on that note, what's coming, like if nothing changed, if nothing at all in my environment or the people, they did not change. How do I want to hold myself? I want to hold my joy. I want to hold my freedom. I want to hold my expansion, and just focus on that every day. My connection, like if nothing ever changes, like that's still what I want to leave here with, so that you don't lose that when you cross over.
Beautiful.
I was also on that kind of supporting Nina's thought of what is that one quality that you love within you, and then to write it down and have it on a piece of paper that you can wake up and see in the morning and at night. And then every day be activating and amplifying that vibration of that positive quality in your divine line, in your energetic fields, in your spark, in all dimensions where you're expressing yourself. And it's really going back to the basics of the 7 cups of consciousness. So, and to go back to the basics and to really, I think there's something about having the piece of paper where you've written down the word, so that in the morning, even if you don't have time, you still see it, and some part of you is taking a deep breath, holding it within you, and you're working that muscle. That's really so key.
I feel like I want to piggyback, not something separate, because everything that everybody said feels so important. And so the slowing down, the choosing, the frequency that we want to hold. And I am also feeling like I'm sort of feeling a lot of movement around, but I can maintain a grounded sense of stillness as this is happening, and that there is tremendous opportunity. And so the opportunity, I could get in my own way if I get caught in the swirl. I could get in my own way if somehow I move into fear. And so if I can be in that place of, I can't wait to see what wonderful, miracles and things are coming from this. And I'm going to just stand right here and let this happen. So that's kind of what came in for me.
I love that. And I'll do the final piggyback, or what is it, like a Roomba line where we're dancing? And everybody has a thread, but we're all in that same music song stream. And it's something super simple, as you all were iterating, and it's for the body. And I say to my body, what is the form in that other realm, another dimension that feels really balancing and stabilizing and nourishing for you, where you don't get exhausted? And for me, my one-liner for the wintertime for the next 3 to 4 months is body be mountain. And maybe your body needs to be fire, or be river, or be wind, whatever feels like your body is called to be a particular element, and you're witnessing your body in that form. And that level of support starts to ripple to you as you move in each day. Simple practice. As we all have shared our simple practices that take less than 10 seconds. It's just this one sentence that brings you into an energetic alignment. It is an honor to connect with all of you, and practitioners, just a huge gratitude for you sharing your wisdom with the world, modeling a strong, coherent field, and to all of our listeners who have the courage to explore using your energetic fields to shift your consciousness, to model that as we move in the world. Let it be so. Oh, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, listeners. Thanks, Aleya.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Cups of Consciousness show with me, Aleya Dow. Receive a free month of the Cups of Consciousness. Go to 7cupsofconsciousness.com. When you get your free month, you will get 5 cups a week for 4 weeks. You'll also receive access to a live tall cup of consciousness session. Feel free to review the show. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Aho.